not, could not be less effective. There, think through that one. We have the same situation in Texas. We have a rhino, a Republican in name only, who has been the Speaker of the House for quite some time. And he needs a challenge. There is a candidate out there that is absolutely going to win his district, and he will be in the House. His name is Scott Turner. Need to remember Mr. Turner. He is a former NFL football player. He's a formidable guy, not just in size, but in attitude and standing. He has a great presence to him. We need to promote him for Speaker of the House as soon as he gets in there. All right. Let me take a little brief break, and I will be right back.
What this world needs is a few more rednecks, people with the nerve to take a stand. What this world needs is a little more respect for the Lord and the law and the working man.
Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Doc Owen Show. Glad you're aboard. Hope you're not just joining us. It's been pretty spicy up till now. One of the articles that I saw this week came across, it says that the title of the article was Obama Accused of Waging War on Millennials. Several things in that headline caught my attention, not the least of which was millennials. So I looked at the article, and I found out that there's a young lady by the name of Katie Kiefer. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm going to find out. And she has a new book out. It's called Let Me Be Clear: Barack Obama's War on Millennials and One Woman's Case for Hope. The primary point, or the backing to this book, is the fact that Ms. Kiefer is a millennial. She, by her very existence, has a right and apparently feels the responsibility, as we said at the beginning of the show, to speak up on the matter. I took the opportunity to reach out to Ms. Kiefer and ask her if she'd be willing to come on the show and do an interview. She agreed. We've not scheduled it yet. It'll be coming up very soon. I didn't schedule it because I want to read the book first, which I will do over the weekend or the early part of next week, and then Ms. Kiefer and I will have a conversation. So please stay tuned for that, because I think you will really enjoy what she has to say. And not only that, but the way that she says it. I understand the book is very, very good, so I'm looking forward to it. Let's go back to the one of my hot button issues, and according to what I told you, I do not consider this to be that. I don't consider it to be politically charged or across the aisles Republican Democrat, and that's the invasion of the United States that's going on the southern border. I'm not. If I were going to throw stones on that issue, I would do my dead level best to hit both parties. I don't think there's any room for innocence on any of this. But the current administration, the current government, has created a new memorandum of understanding with Mexico over civil rights. But as a piece of a background, understand that the true unemployment rate in the United States is somewhere around 37.2%. Over a third of people who would really prefer to be working full-time at a good career are not able to do it simply because the economy is so stagnant and is so in such a shrinking mode, no matter what the mainstream media tries to tell you. Okay, so the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the United Mexican States, these two agencies, intend to establish a collaborative relationship to provide Mexican nationals in the United States with information, guidance, and access to education and training resources to help them understand and exercise their workplace rights. Nonsense. If they're here illegally, unfortunately, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, you have no workplace rights. The only workplace rights you have are to leave. If you have citizenship or a green card or some other legal identification, you then have earned a certain level of workplace rights. And what they're trying to do is to tie the plight of these folks to the civil rights movement in the 60s. There is no comparison. The civil rights movement was in support of American citizens. So, sorry. A couple of more things driven by invasion. There's a headline here that American, and I hate this word, so I'm not going to use it. America's kids, I did use it. America's children are getting sick, and they know exactly why. They is in quotes, being the government. It seems that there is a airborne respiratory disease going around after school started that the CDC and the government have no idea what it is, and they claim they don't know where it came from. Give me a break. It came from the southern border is exactly where it came from. And it is extremely contagious and extremely deadly. The numbers, they have a name for it, and the numbers for it in the article I found to be just appalling. Somewhere around, I mean, and it's I'm sure it's growing every day. Hang on a second. It was somewhere around, I mean, it's in the thousands. This is not a case of, 10 or 15 kids at some high school getting sick. And it's only striking the young people. And it's a case where the American children have no built-in resilience to it. It's something that we've never seen before. It's exactly like what we talked about on a previous Doc Owen show about what happened in England when the folks came over from Europe and introduced the plague, that they just had no defense. It's what happened in the United States when they came over on the Mayflower and first came to the United States, and all the Indians started getting sick. It wasn't an intentional thing, but surely and that's what I kept saying about the invasion and school and the problem with all of that and the health issues. It's not an intentional thing because we don't even know we've got it. It's something that it's built into our system. We deal with it. So apparently these young people from south of the border are living with what to us is a disease. But their system over the course of generations or years or whatever, it's built in. It's not a problem for them. So here's one. Sorry, I am gonna dive into politics just a little bit because I found it almost comically ironic. If you're not aware, you should be. When the Affordable Care Act was passed, there were a lot of deals that were made in the Senate to get it passed. It really didn't have the votes. So they had to buy the votes. The folks that wanted it to pass, that absolutely had to have it to pass so we could read it, bought some votes. one of the primary people they bought votes from was the senator from Nebraska, and it was referred to as the Cornhusker kickback. All right? I mean, they didn't even try to hide it. They made a deal with Nebraska and to get the senator's vote so they could pass it, which, by the way, after he did that, he retired. He said he wasn't going to run for office again. So, it's like, I got mine, I'm out of here. Well, they introduced something this week. The headline says, Obamacare premiums in Nebraska to rise by 11%. One of the biggest hikes in the nation. I find that almost, how does that happen? We got 50 states. How does the guy that does the Cornhusker kickback and gets known for the graft wind up getting the biggest hike in the rates to his state? Classic. There's another thing happening on the voting front. We all know about voter ID and the charges, and this is something else that I found kind of amusing. And that was there's a very, it's a situation where approximately, get this, out of all the people that can vote, 84,000 citizens may be disenfranchised because they are transgenders and have no, their identifications don't match their appearance. In other words, if they were given an ID as a man and they're now a woman, they don't get a new ID. They still carry this old ID, or a certain percentage of them do, approximately 20 to 24,000 people. So they are introducing a button that says vote twice. Once for each gender. You gotta love it. That's a creative solution to the problem. There was one article that talks about the administration doubling down on a fight against some nuns, and it's just the fact that it used the term double down that I found interesting, which is exactly why we're calling this series of shows leading up to the election as the double down squared. Let me talk to you a little bit before I go off the air about what's going to happen starting on Monday. On Monday, we will put out our first podcast. It's hosted on a platform called Connect Pal, but that's really not that consequential. All you need to remember is www.docowenshow.com. And if you will go to what used to be the blog, it will automatically direct you to Connect Pal, where you can sign up for the Doc Owen Show subscription service. We made a decision that rather than having pop-up ads and going out and getting advertisers to interfere with the flow of the thoughts, that we would make it into a subscription. It's far easier and it's far less expensive, actually. It's $1.79 a month to play. No big deal. You will still get the live broadcast on Thursday, right here. It's not a requirement to continue to participate in the show. It is a requirement to participate in the extra shows that we will be doing, and to have access to the historical files and the archives and all of the podcasting capabilities. That's where all of that is going to reside, is behind the subscription wall. So you will hear the live show. It will be available until the following week. And then the next live show will basically kind of walk on top of that, and last week's show will go into the archives. So you can hear it as a podcast, you can download it, you can pass it around, et cetera, et cetera. So if you'll just remember to go to docowenshow.com, it takes you